Nikki, Lil Uzi Vert has called everybody 7-Eleven. Good morning. It's a Friday. It's a Bill and Jessica show.
Good morning. Mostly cloudy today with a few showers, mainly in the morning, partly cloudy in the afternoon, highs near 50.
All the light we cannot see. The book, you want it. We'll take a couple more people to text in right now. Hook you out with a copy, 302-858-5117. We need your first and last name and where you're from. Again, Jess, you get the rundown.
You can own a copy of Anthony Doerr's winning novel, the prize-winning novel, All the Light We Cannot See. And this is the basis of the Golden Globe-nominated Netflix series. You can get this great New York Times best-selling novel, again, right here with us, All the Light We Cannot See. You can also get it wherever books are sold from Simon & Schuster.
Coming up, we have a phone check with Clarissa Jenkins. You know, there's a lot going on with Vince McMahon and the WWE.
Who are you telling?
He's out. He's got a lot of allegations out there. There's a book out about him, his life, and, you know, everything that's been going on with him, how he got started, where he is today. It's called Ringmaster, Vince McMahon and the Unmaking of America. New York Times bestselling author. We go live to the hotline right now. Josie Riesman, good morning.
Hello.
Hi.
Yes, hello. Good to be here.
Hey, thank you so much for checking in. We appreciate it.
It's my pleasure, although maybe I shouldn't say that given the nature of what we're talking about.
Well, look, I was a WWE fan growing up, big wrestling fan. You've got a biography of Vince McMahon, and we're going to get into all that. But, did you grow up a wrestling fan? Is that how, you know, like all this started? And, like, how far back?
Yeah, I was...
How far back does the book go?
I was a teenage wrestling head. I was very into professional wrestling, specifically Vince McMahon's brand of professional wrestling at the World Wrestling Federation, or WWF.
Yeah. Yeah, because
WWE.
I think I first started, 1988. Maybe 87, but I think around 88 is really like when I was like heavy into it. Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior. Vince McMahon was just a commentator then. Little did I know. Here we are, fast forward 2024. Yeah. I mean, it's wild. All the years that went through. Is that kind of how you started as a kid too?
Yeah, I'm a little younger than you. I started, my wrestling golden era was the so-called Attitude Era.
Oh, yeah.
Which was really the turn of the millennium, 97 to about 2001 or so. That was really the peak of Vince's cultural influence just in terms of the number of people watching his programming.
Right.
And the percentage of American youth who were watching it.
Well,
so that was really my inroad, was during the Attitude Era, which is very odd because there was a lot of stuff kids should not have been watching on that stuff.
I know. I mean, that was like a whole different, and you know what's real crazy is that over the years I've been kind of like in and out. Like I'll watch it for a while, get all into it when it comes to WrestleMania time, and then I get busy or whatever and stop for a little while because if you miss like one Raw, you miss like 3 hours worth of stuff. So it's like tough to go back and watch it. All you're doing is watching it. So. I checked out during the Attitude Era. Isn't that crazy? And then, I've caught up with it obviously now, but during the Attitude Era is when I kind of checked out. So,
Yeah, well, no, that makes sense. I mean, it was a very different approach to wrestling, but it was an approach that saved wrestling, kind of for better or worse. It ended up managing to persist because he was no longer just trying to get you to like his program. He could make you feel hatred in his program towards him personally as a character, Mr. McMahon.
Yeah.
Or even just as the owner because you didn't like some of the stuff that was happening on television. But the way to register your anger was you bought the latest Stone Cold Steve Austin t-shirt. You gave money to Vince McMahon to show how much you hated Vince McMahon.
Well, that was
a real genius business strategy.
Oh, absolutely.
For better or worse.
Yep.
Well, that was also during WCW, the Monday Night Wars and all that before he bought WCW as well. So, I mean, those NWA, or NWO, that was those were the times. I will say that. I did get into it around that time as well. So talk to us a little bit about this book. The biography of Vince McMahon. You actually wrote. It's called Ringmaster. Tell us all about it. Kind of give us, a rundown, what we can expect.
Sure. Ringmaster, Vince McMahon and the Unmaking of America is my New York Times bestselling biography of Vince, and it charts his rise to that point that I was talking about, the Attitude Era. I'm planning to write a sequel. I already have plenty of material. It was just too eventful to fit into a single volume at the word count I was under contract for. But he has been an enormously significant American figure, even if you don't care about professional wrestling.
Yeah.
He has been enormously influential on Donald Trump, who is a close friend of his, or at least used to be. Haven't checked up on their friendship status in the past few weeks. They're both busy, but, you know, he's been a major player in Republican politics. And just culturally, it's really hard to overstate his impact on millennials, especially millennial boys. So this book looked at not only the impact he had, but also the step-by-step of how he came to be who he is. From his very complicated and difficult relationship with his dad, who had co-founded the wrestling company that Vince was then in charge of, all the way to all of these allegations that have dogged him throughout his career of sexual misconduct and abuse and negligence. And it adds up to a portrait of how you end up with people like Vince running the world, and especially running the country. You end up with these reality benders who are very good at distorting and deflecting and confusing in order to get away with what they want to do.
Exactly.
So,
Thank you.
It's about Vince, but it's also more about power in America as well.
Maybe he can be Donald Trump's running mate. They both seem to have like a lot of things in common.
He doesn't have a lot else going on right now except for all the legal cases and the federal probe.
Well, that makes both of them.
Wow.
You know, that right there.
Yeah, that's right. That does make both of them, I guess.
Yeah,
right.
Right. They'd be a perfect match for each other. So, how did you get did you get close to Vince or the WWE?
No, not at all. I got close to people who were close to Vince or used to be close to Vince, and got
anybody we know
360-degree view of him. But no, Vince didn't want to talk to me. I mean, I reached out to WWE out of courtesy, but never expected that they would actually comply with something like that.
Yeah. Anybody we know that you kind of talk to, or that you can let us know who it was?
Yeah, sure. I mean, for example, one of the main interviews that I had was over the course of a number of interviews, I had about 7 to 8 hours of interview audio with Bret the Hitman Hart.
Wow,
the great wrestler of the 90s and 80s, one of the most respected men in the business. And he really opened up with me about his relationship with Vince. And it's a complex one. It's a lot of father figure stuff, but a lot of abuse stuff as well.
You ever, about Dark Side of the Ring?
Sure, yes. A very influential show. It was very helpful to me as I was starting my research.
Yeah, just unbelievable, how the WWE story goes. What's your thoughts on what's going on now with Vince? As far as him having to resign,
well,
he's
very
totally
troubling.
out.
I mean, right. Vince has been hit with a lawsuit from a former WWE employee named Janelle Grant, and the lawsuit is truly shocking. I mean, the allegations are that Vince was sexually abusing Ms. Grant and sexually trafficking her, as well as non-consensually distributing photos and videos of her in explicit situations. And that lawsuit seems to have really shaken the earth. The next day, after Slim Jim, the advertiser, had pulled its advertising from WWE,
which is
huge.
It
seems that the company really panicked, and Vince was ousted. He resigned. And now we have this reality where Vince might actually face consequences for allegations, which is something that he really has not in the past. He's been hit with allegations of sexual assault, of sexual harassment, of steroid distribution, of covering up a murder. All kinds of things have been thrown his way, but they tend to just roll like water off a duck's back. This one, not so much. And I think the difference is Vince had sold his company and merged it with UFC last year, and his boss was Ari Emanuel of Endeavor Holdings. And this time, Vince got into trouble, and there was not a culture of silence that could protect him quite in the same way because he had corporate bean counters as bosses. He did not have wrestling enthusiasts as his bosses. So it seems like they were not going to put up with the kind of instability that these allegations were presenting the company with.
Do you think that wrestling's better now that Vince McMahon is out? I mean, obviously, we can never take away what Vince and, his family and all that. I mean, obviously, Triple H is in there, but we can't take away what Vince has done for the WWE. I mean, what you see today, he made that.
Right.
I mean, that was him. But because he's out now, do you think that it will get better? Do you think that it's going to improve? Do you think that we're going to see different storylines, that he won't have any of his hands on anything? I mean, are you excited now to see where the company goes as a fan?
Just from a purely historical perspective and a journalistic perspective, I'm very excited to see where things go.
Yeah.
Not speaking as a fan, but just speaking as someone who wants to see how the story plays out. Because we just haven't had a world without Vince in a senior, powerful position for wrestling in 40 years.
I know.
Yep.
I think it's not so much a question of will it get better or worse. It's just without the restraint of having to conform to Vince's vision, we will see differences in wrestling. I don't know what those are going to look like, though.
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting. We're definitely going to be following Josie Riesman. If people want to pick up your book, Ringmaster, Vince McMahon, and the Unmaking of America, how can they pick up the book?
You can go to the book website, and that is ringmasterthebook.com.
Very good. Thank you so much for checking in. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.